Welcome back, everybody. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's go. Okay. So I made a TikTok. Spoilers right off the bat. So I made a TikTok yesterday saying that I remember, when I am the one above all, the honored one, all the manga fans were when that episode came out, all the manga fans kind of freaked out because like the angle was different. Oh, this isn't exactly like the manga panel. And I was like, okay guys, let Mappa do their own thing. Like that's why we have animes, like to do something a little different, maybe expound upon different things, in the Tengen fight, none of that happened. None of like the musical note thing, like the visual representation of it, that never happened. So, let anime studios do their own thing. But when I saw that Yuji vs. Chozo had a Raid 2 homage from the kitchen fight, I was like, I need to see this panel. If I don't see this panel, I'm going to freak out. And they did it. Oh my gosh, this episode was so good. Welcome back, everybody. We are here talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, Red Scale, spoiler review. What an episode, man. And I know we've heard about Shibuya for so long, of how it is just like banger after banger after banger. And I don't want to say we started slow, but like I feel like we're just getting into it now. And I feel like I want to make sure that I'm not just kind of doing like a recap of like a boxing match, which is basically what this entire fight is just like there's nothing else that really happens, but there's still so much to talk about, and I can't wait to get into it. But let's get into it, guys. Okay, cool. Roommate is at work. I was making sure he didn't come in while we were recording. But so it started like I keep saying the words underestimate. We underestimated Gojo. We underestimated Nanami. Like I underestimated. I feel like maybe we all are, how bad it is in Shibuya right now. Like it's because we've been, focused on like the Gojo fight at the deep underground. And that's really bad too. Like however many, I'll say like 500 people or maybe even more, because he said they killed like 1,000 transfigured humans. So maybe like 2,000 people, stuck at the lowest level of the train station, possibly getting eaten and stuff like that. But then, like, we don't realize, like, outside on the street, like, yeah, we've seen Yuji take care of, like, a few monsters here and there. But, man, another thing when Yuji's running around, we just see just utter chaos. Like, people just getting, and Mappa didn't hold back. We got that little, like, cute Yuji roundhouse kicking that little stuffed animal-looking transfigured monster. And it was like, oh, that's funny. But they didn't hold back, and, like, just the absolute disparity of what is happening on the streets. Like, imagine you're in your Halloween costume and this giant transfigured human monster is chasing your friends down. You see people being gnawed on and torn apart and thrown up against buildings, and just the absolute worst thing ever. And I like how this was animated today, that like they're not holding back. It is literally like, oh my gosh, like craziness. And, I love the difference between, we saw Gojo, how he handled it, like, hey, I can't save everybody, but this is how I'm going to do it. And how kind of like, he just like turned it off. When he was killing Hanami and Jogo was like, hey, look over here, I'm going to kill these people. I feel like Yuji would have been like, okay, let me stop, or something like that. But Gojo just kept pressing and like evaporated Hanami. But Yuji's just like, I can't save everybody. What do I do? And I have to get to Gojo. Like, what's going on? Luckily, Inumaki shows up and says, don't move. And like, Yuji runs away before that. But I'm wondering, like, does everybody freeze? Like, is that hard on his voice? Like, I know I don't think transfigured humans have any cursed energy. They're just like stronger. And so I'm just wondering like how that affects him. And I want to see like the after effects of that. And it's so good to see Inumaki. I love Inumaki. The build-up, there's so many moments of this fight that, like, this is one of the best directed episodes of television I've seen in a long time. And I feel like, I don't know if directors get a lot of credit for animation. Like, yeah, I know, like, Brad Bird is, like, a big one for, like, Pixar and stuff like that. But for episodes of anime, I feel like the animators get, like, their just deserves. Is it just deserves, just desserts? I don't know. They get what they're owed when it comes to really good animation, but I feel like directors might get a little bit overlooked in this area. And I want to say, the direction of this episode is borderline flawless. Like, if you want to nitpick, you can, because I mean, like, you could nitpick The Godfather if you really want to. But this direction is so good. Like, seeing the no running sign, Yuji running past that, seeing as he's jumping down the escalator stairs, like both him and Chozo, like, identifying each other, like, Yuji automatically putting his guard up because he doesn't know who it is, but he knows he's bad, and then Chozo being like, that's Yuji, the person I sent out myself to kill, the killer of my brothers, and immediately doing piercing blood, and seeing that, like, we know piercing blood from Kamo, the third year from Kyoto, from, you know, like, when he fought Fushiguro, and a little bit of Zero, like, you know, obviously, like, he shot, like, 3 arrows in Zero, not much. But, like, we know kind of, like, just the beginnings of piercing blood. But this fight just showed how far advanced Chozo is as a blood manipulator. And even his brothers, Eso and Kichizu, sorry. And I think Kichizu was the small green one, and Eso was the Wing King one with the bow tie. I think, don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. But even that, like, Kichizu was definitely, like, the weakest, and Esso's, like, was pretty strong, honestly. The Wing King was a pretty good one, and, like, his curse technique with, like, the slow poison would have worked on nearly everybody, but nobody literally says, like, you're the worst matchup for me because I'll just stab myself and use my hairpin, and it'll be bad. But Chozo is so much stronger than both of them, and Kamo, and just how strong piercing blood is, that it goes straight through. Like, I'm sure Yuji's using cursed energy to protect himself, goes straight through his arm, and he manages to, like, kind of deflect it off himself, and the fact that it goes all the way up the street, like, and cuts out, like, cars and street signs at the top of the street, and he's on the bottom level of Shibuya train station, or not the bottom level, but, like, the lower level of Shibuya train station, is insane how powerful it is. And then Yuji immediately closing distance, trying to get close, and, like, I don't want to go, you know, beat for beat, punch for punch here, but I love, like, after the first hit, he's like, hey, did my brothers have any last words? And Yuji doesn't know who this guy is, like, he wasn't being dismissive, but once he realizes, I do love the sad look, because, like, you know, when he killed Eso, you know, he says, I'm sorry. And then, you know, he even asked Nobara after, he's like, does this affect you? Like, I'm fine with killing curses, but, like, we killed, like, people. And, you know, he even felt bad about killing transfigured humans. And I mentioned in earlier episodes that, like, he didn't hesitate this time. And not because, like, he's become this cold, you know, merciless killer, but just he knows now who he can save and who he can't. And while he'll try and save everybody, he knows transfigured humans are beyond saving, and they just need to, like, die. And so, like, before they kill innocent civilians. And so just seeing that, like, that moment of just, like, that does still affect Yuji. Like, he's grown a lot since we've last seen him, but the things, like, still affect him, and I still really like that about our main character. And we forget that Yuji is the main character because there are so many great and well-developed characters in this story, and I'm excited to get to know more about them and see all of them fight, but Yuji is our main boy, and I do love that. That only angers Chozo, like, saying, like, oh, they didn't say anything before they died, but they did cry, and, like, that just, like, he goes full Wing King on him. And I love, like, the different, like, it's one thing to have, I feel like, you know, like, Eso had his two, he had Wing King and, like, his blood poison, and then Kichizu seemed to only have the blood poison that he, like, spit on people, that seemed to be his only power. But Chozo's just got the whole bag, he's got the whole repertoire, the whole arsenal. And I love, like, when Yuji's about to hit him again because he gets close, he makes these little blood capsules into, like, basically shotgun pellets, and just boom, blows them up behind Yuji, and then, like, makes a blood blade out of it and stabs him in the foot. But this is where I love Yuji so much, and I'm sure I'm, like, missing, like, you know, beat for beat of some of the punches, some of the kicks, and, you know, but I just love when he stabs Yuji in the foot, and, like, I love the pain reaction, but then the pain turns to anger, and he kicks with that same foot he just got stabbed, and kind of lands the first punch that he'd landed in the fight. Because before it'd be like, you know, kind of in anime, you know, they guard and it's like, oh, I didn't take any damage. And it's like in real life, like, yeah, you can guard punches, but they still hurt. But in anime, like, it doesn't really hurt. And so that was like the first kind of hit he landed on Chozo, and it felt so good. But then Chozo, realizing that he got hit, like, kind of uses piercing blood again, and then grabs Yuji and throws him on the side, like over back to the escalators, and then, like, you know, he's got distance again, he's ready to shoot him again. And I love, you know, like, their inner monologue, how Yuji dodges by, like, jumping in the air to close the distance again. And then Mechamaru wakes back up in his little intercom. Yuji dives behind a pillar. He's like, he basically has no weaknesses, because the one weakness of blood manipulation is the blood. Is that you are using your own blood, and that's why Kamo, like, you know, has, like, blood bags and, like, pre-blooded arrows and stuff like that, because you do it before the fight, so you don't become anemic and, you know, pass out and faint. But Cho doesn't have that, because he's not, like, a living person. He's a, you know, a death painting, cursed womb, whatever you want to call him. So, like, the one weakness of blood manipulation, Chozo doesn't have. And so he's like, I've got one idea, but I don't know if it's gonna work, and if it doesn't work, you're dead anyway, so we need to try it. Yuji runs to the bathroom, and Chozo is not dumb. He's like, this guy beat both my brothers, so he's not stupid or weak, so I need to take this slow. And Mechamaru knows this and is like, yeah, are you a coward? Get in here. You're a coward. Your brothers were cowards. They died like dogs. Like, just Call of Duty Warzone lobby talking smack right now. And it works. He baits Chozo into the bathroom. All the sinks are broken. All the showers are running. All the toilets are overflowing. So the water, and so, like, Yuji hits him from behind. And he's like, oh, that was your chance. Mechamaru's gone. I destroyed his little intercom. So now it's just us. But all the blood pellets blow up. And it turns out that the water either, like, overcoagulates or doesn't let the blood coagulate because it runs with water. There's a long explanation. I didn't write it down, guys. Basically, the falling and running water in the air makes it so where the blood can't solidify into what Chozo wants it to. He can't manipulate it because the water is interfering with it. So it's hand-to-hand time. And I love, oh my god, another anticipation moment is so good. Yuji, we just saw Nanami stride across the mall floor and absolutely beat the crap out of that ponytail guy. And now we see Yuji, like, basically saying, like, and this was the panel, like, you're on, and I guess, like, I have, like, because the you're on my turf now is such a badass line that I wish they would have said it. But he says it in a much more realistic way of, like, oh, he's on my turf, so I need to do something now. But I do love the you're on my turf. But we get the pose. We get, like, a little bit of the pose, and I'm like, oh, is that it? It's not as good as I wanted it to be. But I was so into the fight that I was okay with it. And this is where blood manipulation and, like, some of the techniques, like, not confuse me, but I'm wondering, like, it says that Chozo doesn't have any combat experience, but he just kind of accepts the situation that he's in and just, like, he knows he needs to fight. So I feel like Yuji should have won this fight. Like, I know Chozo's strong. I know he's, like, a special grade. I'm not downplaying that. And I think that maybe, like, he used the blood within himself to strengthen his muscles or something. I don't know. But I wish they just didn't have... If they didn't have that line that, oh, hey, he doesn't have any combat experience, I would have been fine with everything that happened. But him saying that, like, the narrator saying that was like, oh, so Yuji should, like, win. And it to a certain extent it makes sense because, like, a lot of fight happens. The dam literally bursts, and that's why I love the anticipation building. Like, the drain overflows and Yuji throws it at him. Yuji gets a good headbutt like Tanjiro, like he did against Mahito, and it was so, like, all of this choreography is so good. There's a good mixture of, like, static shots with really good, like, frame by frame fluid animation, and there's some really good, like, POV first person shots of people running, people flipping. The color scheme and the contrast and the lighting of this episode is so beautiful. all like the fluorescence and like the neon lights of the train station is so beautifully done. Everything is so good. They bring back the old music from season 1, and they bring back another, and I don't know the names of the songs, guys. I'm really sorry. But I love everything that this fight builds to, and then when Yuji lands a shot, you know, like breaks his tooth open, basically. He's like, oh, this is my chance. And Chozo had, in his bald fist, I guess, collected blood and then hid it under his robe and coagulated it and hardened it and shot it like a shotgun again, and it pierced Yuji's liver. And he even says, like, if I hadn't caught him by surprise, it moved super slow, so he could have dodged it, but so I can't use that trick again. But Yuji, like, he says, oh, I've been stabbed in the stomach before, and you know, like when Mahito like stabbed him with all his spikes, it's like something's different, and he got hit in the liver, and so he's bleeding out, and like, obviously, you get hit in your liver, you're in a lot of pain, and you're most likely going to die. But he's like, I know my purpose, and like, I love, he's like falling back. Chozo goes to, you know, finish him off. Yuji stands his ground, like, you know, that old anime, like hardening your you know, stomping your foot. And this is where we get the raid moment where their hands are like basically touching, the little scooting of the feet. And he's like, I know my role. I need to kill this guy, even if I die, so the others can get to Gojo and rescue him. If I don't get there, I don't get there. But I need to do this. This is my purpose. And I love that. And that's who Yuji is. That's who Itadori Yuji, that's who he is as a person and as a main character. And I love him so much. I love my boy. He's such a good boy. And I love him so much. And Chozo literally says, like, he's only managed to, you know, I guarded most of the shots, but he's hit me 3 times. And he's done this much damage. And we get back into the fight. More great animation. Like, Chozo, like, basically gives himself, like, blood brass knuckles and going after it. I love the part where he stabs down with the blood blade and Yuji's holding it, and then the water makes the blood blade burst. It's so good, guys. It's so good. And then we get the music from the Eso Kichuzi fight, Kichizu fight with Nobara, the dun 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 dun, and we think, you know, Yuji's like, oh, I haven't used my left hand this entire fight because he pierced it. He probably thinks it's worthless. I'm gonna blind him with my right and just come around with my left. We get that music, the dun 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 dun, and I was waiting for the black flash to happen and the fight to be over, but turns out Chozo was one step ahead and gave himself like blood body armor around his 6-pack abs. Mappa refuses to not be thirsty in any episode. It's official. And he hits him with, like, I think, like the Wolverine claws again, and just like slices basically his whole, like, just like you see like a chunk of his whole right shoulder just go missing. And then he kicks him back into the wall and he's about to kill him. And I did not believe that this, I don't know. I don't know what I expected to happen, but I was like, is Nanami gonna show up? Is Maki gonna show up? Is, you know, anybody gonna show up right now? And what happens, and this is so good, like, you see Sukuna just be like, oh, I can't believe you died to this weakling. And I guess, I still don't know what happened, but I'm gonna just say that I think Sukuna implanted a memory in Chozo's head, because the narrator says Chozo got a memory that didn't happen, like, it just didn't happen, and I'm guessing Sukuna implanted it to save Yuji, and Chozo just, like, again, this is where I go back to the direction of the episode, where as Chozo is leaving the bathroom, like, you know, like freaking out, PTSDing for something that isn't in his brain that got implanted there 5 seconds ago, you see the aspect ratio change. Like, you see, like, the black bars come in on the side, like, just changing. And I was watching that. And unfortunately, I had work this morning, and I had stuff to do before work. So, like, I watched it the first time on my phone, and then I watched it twice when I got home. And so I was like, wait, is my phone freaking out? What's going on? But it was the direction where it's slowly changing into, like, this VHS home movie aspect ratio. And it was, guys, it's so good. Like, I don't want to, like, sound like I'm mansplaining or anything like that. Like, don't you guys get it? But, like, this is like one of the few times where I'm just like, don't y'all get how cool that is? That is so cool and so unnecessary. They didn't need to go that hard. They could have just like done the fade to white dream sequence, whatever they wanted to, like every other anime has done. But they went this hard, showing a VHS version, and like the frame rate is different, so it looks older. It looks like 90s anime almost, and it shows like the three brothers and Yuji at a picnic, and Yuji's feeding everybody spaghetti. And Chozo's like, this didn't happen, I'm freaking out. And he leaves Yuji there to like, while he's like trying to regain control of his brain, which apparently Sukuna has the power to do that. Or I don't know if it was Sukuna, it was somebody, or maybe, you know, oh, was it Nanako and Mimiko? Because they show up after the credits and they're like, oh, is this Yuji? Yeah, he's still breathing, let's get to work. And I'm guessing like they're gonna heal him, but I don't know. I thought it was Sukuna that did it because like you see him like close his eyes and then like do the wake up eyes, the wake up anime eyes. But was it Mimiko and Nanako? I don't know, because we don't know what their technique is besides like we saw like curse energy on her phone. And I don't know which one is which, Mimiko and Nanako, but one of them had the phone cursed energy and one of them had like the hanging rope, and they had hung a bunch of assistant supervisors in Zero, which I love Gojo snapping, but I was so ready to see Ijitsu just like go to work when he was like, you guys are too young to understand what's happening right now. There's still time to turn back. Like he was like trying to talk them down. But man, what a great episode. Where am I at? Am I over 20 minutes? I always feel like I'm going super fast, and then I look at this and it's 20 minutes. Yep, 22. Yeah, I'm never fast. I'm never fast, guys. So thank you so much. It seems like next episode we're going to get like the Mei fight. It seems like there's Fushiguro in there. It seems like we're going to probably get caught up with everybody, honestly. So I'm looking forward to that. But I love just like focusing on one. We've been kind of bouncing all around. I love that we are focusing on one thing at a time, and I'd be okay with that. But what a great episode. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. What was your favorite part of the fight? Is this Mappa's best Jujutsu Kaisen episode? I don't know. I'd still think the finale from season 1 is the best. Movies don't count because movies have a whole different budget. But either Black Flash or the finale might be my favorite episode of last season. But let me know, guys. I appreciate y'all. Bye.